Hi, I'm Jason Gorber for ThatShelf.com, and we're here to look at Joni Mitchell Archives Volume 4.
Shelf.
Now, I understand that this entire channel could become nothing other than a love letter to Joni Mitchell, and I'd be totally fine with that. But we're sort of tracking down more Joni Mitchell releases. This is the Archives Volume 4, the Asylum Years, the second Asylum Years box set, both on vinyl and digital. I'll get into the differences between the two of them in a second. But yeah, this is a companion to the previous set. They're sort of doing this in phases. We had the Asylum Years, obviously, Volume 1, and this is the Asylum Years Volume 2, which includes her move to a much more jazz-oriented style. It's when she started working with people like Jaco Pastorius, but also includes the unbelievable Shaz and Light live record, all included in that. They did for Volume 2, this is, remember, the fourth, and there's a video on this channel about Volume 2, which was an exclusive release that included everything from the archive series. But for the other ones they've been doing is essentially putting it all out on the digital format and then having a sort of, not quite greatest hits, but, you know, a more a selection available on vinyl. So it's not a 10-disc set like the other one is. I, for one, would love it all on vinyl. That's sort of where I come from. But I certainly understand at least they're doing some vinyl releases for when you're sitting down and sort of listening. And you have not only available on digital, but also on the streaming services, the ability to listen to all of the variations. And from that, the streaming services that Joni is still involved with, as of this recording, that fluctuates. So first of all, let's look at the vinyl, because that's sort of the main one. And then we'll crack open and see just how big of a difference it is in terms of track listing and stuff like that. So, you know, wonderful, wonderful photo of her on the front. 180 gram 4 LP set, 40 unreleased recordings tracing Joni's groundbreaking work from the birth of Hajira to her legendary collaboration with jazz luminaries, featuring newly unearthed demos and studio outtakes, selections from the Rolling Thunder Review, that incredible tour she did with Bob Dylan, among other people. 1976 and 79 tour recordings, contributions from, and how's this for a list? Charles Mingus, Herbie Hancock, Jaco Pastorius, Wayne Shorter, and others. Boy, you know, if you're an other on that list, you're still kind of connected to some kind of master craftspeople in this art form. 8-page booklet includes previously unpublished photos and Cameron Crowe in conversation with Joni Mitchell. Was pretty interesting that when I was at the Joni show, Cameron was wandering around. There is threat of a documentary coming from him that was just being discussed sort of under the radar at that show. I'm very interested to see what actually comes of it. Not the biggest fan of a lot of Crowe's documentaries. He's so close to the people that he's covering that it's not a matter of lack of objectivity. It's like it's sort of like overhearing a conversation that you don't really feel that you're being part of. But we will see. Hopefully he will once again surround himself by some excellent documentarians that sort of shape it, and then he'll just put his name on it, as he tends to do with a lot of his nonfiction stuff. That's another conversation. See the Crosby doc, which is actually great. Obviously connected to this one. So let's crack this open and look at what the records look like inside. It is it's funny. They're doing for Record Store Day, and that's hopefully something we can also look at. They're doing, if this is a sort of a greatest hits sort of selection of the highlights. Let's call it a highlights disc of the main set. So you have the main set, and then you have this. There's going to be a single disc set of some of the live recordings released on Record Store Day. So you really have a choice about what you actually want to dive into. So inside the box is, you know, ye old cardboard box. We have in here somewhere the booklet with another stunner. Look at that photo. It's fantastic. And yeah, with longtime manager Elliot Roberts in 1979. It's Joni and Elliot. Produced for release by Joni Mitchell and Patrick Milligan yet again. And yeah, we have a booklet with a bunch of text, a bunch of fabulous photographs, and telling briefly the story of this one. of this particular archive release. And we'll dive into what's in it. We have 4 records on this sort of with great images on the front, including a master tape and that. And let's look at the records themselves, see how they actually show up. So Joni, Joni luxuriating, Rolling Thunder Review live at Harvard Square with the Bob Neuwirth stuff. Actually, there's a release now of some of his recordings. Is actually recently out as well. Harvard Square Music Hall and Bangor, Maine, doing Case of You, and then live Montreal Forum, 76 tour of the United States, and live at Nassau Coliseum with a selection of songs from all of those tours. The record itself, paper sleeve, poly lined, no drama there. Black vinyl, it looks absolutely immaculate. Really, really pleased with some of the releases that are coming out of Warner of late. They've just been really excellent for, given the fact that we're already going to the the limits here in terms of actually going with an analog release like this. I'm so pleased about how these have been packaged and actually been released and pressed. Better sometimes than a lot of the quote-unquote standalone audiophile releases. We're getting lots of clean stuff. Record 3, live at Music Hall Boston again, with this time in 76. And then some Hajira demos, Rolling Thunder Review again, this time at Fort Worth, with another record. Tiny bit of schmutz from the plastic, but it's coming off as I'm sitting here blowing on a record for your entertainment value. But yeah, the record looks great. No issues whatsoever. Then we go to sides 5 and 6. Oh, I didn't formally show it. Yeah, Joni demos, Black Crow, Black Cow is Steely Dan, Amelia Blue Hotel Room, and Strange Boy on this reproduction of the tape. I call it a master tape, but it's obviously a demo tape. Side 5 and 6, the Amor Hajira sessions, Don Juan's Reckless Daughter sessions, and Mingus sessions, including Sweet Sucker Dance. The vocal and drums version, take 5. That's going to be exciting. Live at Bread and Roses Festival at the Greek Theater in Berkeley, September 2nd and 3rd, 1978. And then Mingus' early alternate version of God Must Be a Boogeyman. Interesting. 3 minutes and 40 seconds. The record itself. And again, no scratches, no fingerprints. Immaculate. We'll still go through the cleaner, of course. And then the side 7 and 8 in Forest Hills, no less. A show. Very much looking like the Shaz and Light vibe. There's Matheny, there's Brecker. Amazing. Mingus early alternate version of Sue and the Holy River. And then tour rehearsals at SAI Rehearsal Studios in LA. That's fascinating. Of Jericho and Help Me. And then the 79 tour of the United States, live at Forest Hill Tennis Stadium. Big Yellow Taxi, Just Like This Train, and Raised in Robbery. Last time I saw Richard on side 8. And then live at the Greek Theater, Into a Chair in the Sky, Intro to a Chair in the Sky, and then Chair in the Sky. So you're getting this years-long journey of through these 4 records and the touring associated with them, some demos, some live recordings, really fabulous. There's a tiny bit of a mark on the vinyl. It looks like it's actually sort of pressed in. It doesn't look like it's a scratch or anything like that. But this last one has a little bit of imperfection, but still looks like it'll play totally fine. Sometimes the vinyl itself has a little bit of fluctuation of the coloration, as people have seen, especially in colored vinyl, that actually really shows up. So just looking through this, you're like, well, what more could be on here? Well, a lot. Because now if we go to the digital version, this is, again, a 6 CD set instead of 4 records. So already, basically, you're looking at about a third of what's on here on the vinyl version. This is going to give you more full concerts, more ways of sort of diving into it. This is obviously nicer with the big 12-inch booklet, but this is giving you a more full and detailed version. As it says on the front, nearly 100 unreleased recordings tracing Joni's groundbreaking work from the birth of Jira through collaboration with luminaries, as we talked, demos, etc. It says a 36-page booklet, including previously unpublished photos. So obviously you can have fewer pages when the pages are bigger. And on the back, so just reading the back, I'm not going to read it all, but we have here, Rolling Thunder review on disc 1. It's all Rolling Thunder. Niagara Falls, Harvard Square Music Hall, banger. This has the Gordon Lightfoot House demos of recordings of Woman of Heart and Mind. Really fantastic. This is so great that it's on here. Live at Montreal Forum, and then the 1976 tour of the U.S. They're in Madison, they're in Boston, Nassau Coliseum, and then on disc 2, Music Hall, another Madison track, Music Hall track, Duke, and then live at Music Hall, and it looks like on February 1976, and we have tracks 7 through 13 all at the same venue. Then live at Duke, and live at Music Hall again on February 1976 with a couple other tracks. Side 3, that's where the Hejira demos come in. Full 9 tracks of Hejira demos here. Back to the Rolling Thunder review at the Tarrant County Convention Center in Fort Worth, where Black Crow, an intro for Song for Sharon, and then Song for Sharon, and then more Hejira sessions, another 2 tracks on this, including those rough tracks. Side 4, we have the Don Juan's Reckless Daughter sessions, including 2 tracks here. Then we have more Mingus sessions discs. There's 3 tracks here. Live at Bread and Roses Festival. Again, we saw a smattering of that over here. And then the Mingus early alternate versions, we have 4 tracks. Good Suit and Good Haircut, God Must Be a Boogeyman, Soul for Old Girl's Soul, and The Dry Cleaner from Des Moines, all on here. Disc 5 starts with Sue in the Holy River, which is connected with the Mingus alternate version. More Mingus sessions. Then live at May 6th, Coalition Rally Against Nuclear Power in 1979, where Graham Nash introduces her and she does Big Yellow Taxi. We have those 2 tracks from the tour rehearsals. And then the 79 tour of the United States, we have tracks 7 through 15, and then tracks 1 through 13 on the final disc, all from that tour. Then live in Philadelphia on August 28th, 1979, they do Woodstock. And then live at the Greek Theater in LA on September 13th, 1979, the A Chair in the Sky. So that is all located in the digital version. Now let's crack this guy open and see how it actually works with that. And so, I am crazy enough, blessed enough to have both versions on this as part of the collection, on that shelf, as it were. But clearly, if I was to have one of them, I would go, personally, I went for the vinyl version, and then would listen to most of this stuff on streaming. But the fact that I have the disc, I'm extremely, extremely pleased about. Inside the box, you have this really nice design here. Again, replication of the record plant from 9/13/79, complete with Herbie Hancock. Amazing. And then you have this booklet. So again, we had this. Now we got a smaller booklet. And the booklet inside has very similar layout, similar photographs, but in smaller size and spread out over more books, as it were. And then after the booklet, we have sort of nestled inside this little sort of framed portion, the discs, all located like this. So again, like the vinyl, they're all in their own cards. We have these various images of Joni on each disc. Each disc housed in these cardboard sleeves. I would have liked plastic inside these sleeves. I'll just throw that out there. But the discs themselves, look like CDs. No scratches, but they're at least easy to come out. It's not like some of the other box sets where you're kind of fighting to get them out, or on this weird plastic contraptions. very easy to use and to get out. And nice track listing on the back of all of these, so you don't actually have to fight hard to do that. So 6 discs, full celebration of this era of Joni Mitchell within this box set. And I'll put the ribbon right so it's a little bit easier to unpack these. That Joni Mitchell, absolutely stunning. But the one that I'm going to sort of, my go-to for when I'm listening to this stuff, primarily after I go through this, the digital once or on a road trip, this is the one that I'm actually going to look for. The amazing Joni Mitchell. We're so blessed to have her music. We're so blessed to have her still creating performances. It's just such an extraordinary time to be a Joni Mitchell fan. To actually see the care and attention being given to these releases is just absolutely phenomenal. For thatshelf.com, I'm Jason Gorber. Please let me know in the comments what you think of this particular release. I would love to hear what you think of Joni and the what they've been doing with the archive series. Follow us on social media, like, subscribe, click the bell, do all that stuff. It really does help the channel a lot, and it helps us be able to cover this sort of thing. If you're interested, really, please take a moment if you've watched this far and actually subscribe and ring the bell. It really does help very, very much. Thank you. We will see you next video. All the best. Take care.